Hello and welcome. You're listening to What's Hot in the Bookstore, and I'm Megan Riley.
And I'm Rain Brooks. It's great to be here, ready to talk about another book that's really making waves.
Absolutely. Today we're diving into a novel that has honestly captivated so many readers. Regretting You by the one and only Colleen Hoover.
Ah, yes. A big one. And we're not just doing a simple review here, are we? We want to really explore why this book has struck such a chord.
Exactly. We'll be looking at, the big themes: love, definitely loss, that tricky generational divide between a mother and daughter, and oh, the secrets. So many secrets.
It's true. And it's positioned, I think, as much more than just a romance novel. It really digs into what happens when your entire world gets turned upside down. How do you find your way?
That's the core question, isn't it? It promises a pretty deep emotional journey. So maybe the best place to start is with the author herself, Colleen Hoover.
Definitely. You almost can't talk about this book, or really any of her massively successful books,
Hmm.
without understanding Hoover's own story and, her unique connection with her readers. It's key context.
Her credibility is huge. So tell us a bit about her background. She wasn't always a writer, right?
No, not at all, which I think is fascinating. She was born in 1979, Sulphur Springs, Texas. And her path to becoming this huge best-selling author was, well, unexpected.
Okay.
She actually worked in social work for a while and also in education,
Yeah.
WIC specifically, and teaching.
Oh, wow. Social work and education. You can immediately see how that experience dealing with real people, real problems, complex family situations must feed into her writing.
Absolutely. That kind of background gives you a certain empathy, a certain insight into, human struggles and messy emotions. It makes her characters feel grounded, I think. They're not just like perfect heroes or villains.
They feel very real, very flawed, making choices that maybe aren't ideal but feel authentic to their situation, which is definitely something you see in Regretting You, especially with Morgan, the mother.
Precisely. That real-world grounding means when her characters mess up, it feels earned. It's not just a plot device. It feels like something a real person under pressure might actually do.
And her actual breakout story is pretty remarkable too, isn't it? The whole self-publishing route.
Oh, yeah. It's like the modern publishing dream story. She didn't start with a big agent or publisher. Back in 2012, she self-published her first novel, Slammed.
Slammed, right. I remember the buzz around that.
Exactly. And the buzz was almost entirely organic. Word of mouth, bloggers, early Goodreads adopters. It just took off. People found it, loved it, and told their friends.
That creates such a different kind of author-reader relationship, doesn't it? Like a sense of discovery.
It really does. It builds this incredible loyalty and trust. Her fans feel like they were part of her success story from the beginning. And that means they're willing to go with her, even when the stories get emotionally tough.
Which they often do. Thinking about her other big hits, It Ends With Us, Verity, Ugly Love. There's definitely a recognizable Hoover brand. How would you define that? What are the key elements?
Okay. If I had to boil it down, I'd say the hallmarks are, first, emotional honesty. She's not afraid to show the difficult, sometimes ugly sides of relationships and feelings.
Right, it's raw.
Very raw. Second, really deep character work. Her characters have these complex, sometimes conflicting motivations. You understand why they do things, even if you don't agree with them.
Mm.
And third, maybe the most famous part, the plot twists. Hoover is known for twists that you genuinely don't see coming.
Let's talk about those twists for a second because, twists can sometimes feel gimmicky in this genre. What makes hers different?
That's a good point. I think her twists usually do more than just shock you. They often force you to completely rethink everything you thought you knew about the characters of the situation.
Nah, so they reframe the emotional context.
Exactly. It's not just a whodunit kind of reveal. It's more like, oh, wow, that changes the meaning of everything that came before. It shakes the foundation. And that keeps you absolutely glued to the page, wondering how these people are going to cope.
Creates that page-turner momentum she's famous for.
Definitely. And then beyond the books themselves, there's her connection outside the writing. Her social media presence is huge.
Yeah, she's very active, very engaged with her fans. It feels like a real conversation, not just marketing.
Right. That directness builds even more trust.
Mhm.
But there's another layer, too, which I think really resonates with readers, her philanthropy.
Oh, tell us about that.
A portion of her book sales goes to support the Bookworm Box. It's a foundation she started.
The Bookworm Box, okay. What does it do?
It's a charity subscription box service, and the profits go to various other charities and nonprofit organizations. So readers feel like buying her books, like Regretting You, is also contributing to something good.
That's fantastic. It adds another dimension to supporting her work. It's not just buying a book, it feels like participating in something positive.
It really does. So you put it all together, the relatable background, the organic success story, the emotional honesty, the killer twists, the direct sand engagement, the charitable work. That's the context for this author. That's why people trust her to take them on these intense emotional journeys.
Okay, that paints a really clear picture. We definitely trusted the source here.
Okay.
So let's shift from the author to the book itself, Regretting You. You mentioned its interesting structure earlier. Let's break down that narrative engine.
Right. The absolute core of how this story is told is its dual perspective. It switches back and forth between two points of view.
Okay, who are the narrators?
We get chapters from Morgan, who's the mother in her 30s, kind of dealing with adult life, marriage, responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get chapters from her daughter, Clara, who's 16, right in the middle of being a teenager.
Mother and daughter. That's immediately interesting. It's not just alternating viewpoints for variety, is it? It feels like a deliberate thematic choice.
Oh, absolutely deliberate. It forces you, the reader, to see the exact same events specifically. A huge, life-altering tragedy that hits the family through two completely different generational lenses.
Huh. So you experience the impact simultaneously from both sides.
Yeah.
That must create some powerful tension.
Huge tension and a lot of dramatic irony because often Morgan knows things Clara doesn't, or Clara is feeling something intensely that Morgan completely misinterprets from the outside.
So you can't just pick a side and stick with it. You're constantly seeing the validity, or at least the reasoning, behind both perspectives, even when they're in conflict.
Exactly. You're forced to empathize with Morgan's burdens, the weight of responsibility, the fear, and at the same time, you feel Clara's teenage angst, her confusion, her hurt. It's very effective at showing the complexity of family dynamics.
Let's dive into those two worlds a bit more. Morgan's struggles, what are they rooted in?
Morgan is really grappling with the weight of adulthood, you know, trying to keep things stable, dealing with her marriage, figuring out how to parent through a crisis. She's presented as very human, very flawed. She makes mistakes.
Sounds relatable, like she's trying her best but doesn't always know what the right thing is.
Precisely. Her crisis is about trying to hold on to stability when everything feels like it's falling apart, and protecting her daughter, even when she's floundering herself. It speaks to those midlife pressures, I think.
And Clara, her turmoil is different, being 16.
Totally different, yeah. Claire's at that age of intense vulnerability, but also budding independence. Hormones, first love, trying to figure out who she is, and then this massive trauma hits.
So her internal world is already chaotic, and then the external world collapses too.
Exactly. It amplifies everything. She's trying to build her identity, just as a family foundation she knew is crumbling beneath her. It's about navigating that intense teenage emotional landscape, plus dealing with profound grief and betrayal.
Wow. So the structure juxtaposes the mom trying to repair a falling house and the daughter trying to figure out where the floor even is anymore.
That's a great way to put it, and that juxtaposition drives everything. The misunderstandings, the arguments, the generation gap issues, they all stem from these clashing perspectives and experiences of the same core events.
And you mentioned earlier that the conflict feels authentic, not just manufactured for plot.
Yes, very much so. What makes it resonate, I think, is that the problems between Morgan and Clara often come down to realistic communication failures. Things left unsaid, assumptions made.
Like in real families.
Exactly like in real families. The book is apparently brilliant in scenes where, the silence is deafening. What isn't being said creates more tension than what is. The secrets Morgan keeps to protect Clara, the way Clara misreads Morgan's grief.
Yeah.
It's that inability to truly articulate their pain to each other that drives them apart.
That sounds incredibly relatable. That gap where you just can't find the words or the other person can't possibly understand your specific burden.
Right. It taps into those very real, often painful family dynamics that many people experience, especially around difficult topics like loss or secrets. It feels true.
Okay, so we have this strong structure creating authentic conflict. But dealing with grief, secrets, betrayal, that's heavy stuff. How does Hoover manage that emotional intensity without it becoming, just relentlessly depressing or melodramatic?
That's where her skill really shines, I think. She manages to portray these incredibly intense feelings, grief, anger, disappointment, but also hope and new love in a way that feels organic. It arises naturally from the situations and the characters' personalities.
It feels earned, not just thrown in for effect.
Exactly. You believe it because you've seen the buildup.
Yeah.
When a character breaks down, you understand why. You've been on that journey with them.
So avoids feeling like emotional manipulation.
Right. The book is described as very feeling, sensitive, intense. It draws you deep into their inner lives,
Yeah.
but somehow it doesn't become overwhelmingly heavy. Maybe because it's balanced?
Balanced, Hall.
Well, Hoover grounds the big emotions in the day-to-day consequences. And while there's real pain, there are also moments of connection, moments of hope, threads of romance developing. It keeps you invested without completely draining you. You trust the emotional journey will lead somewhere meaningful.
Okay, that makes sense. And that brings us to the genre question. Hoover's huge in contemporary romance, but we've talked a lot about family drama, grief, secrets. How does the romance element fit into Regretting You? Is it the main focus?
It's definitely present and important, but I wouldn't say it's the primary focus. The central conflict is really the mother-daughter relationship and how they navigate the tragedy and its fallout.
So the romance serves a different function.
I think so. Both Morgan and Clara have significant romantic storylines that develop. But these romances almost act as a contrast to the core family drama. They offer moments of relief, connection, and self-discovery amidst all the turmoil.
So they provide hope, maybe.
A path forward.
Precisely. They allow the characters to find validation and happiness outside of the immediate family crisis. They help them redefine themselves beyond just being a grieving daughter or a struggling mother. The romance offers a counterpoint, a source of light in the darkness, if you will.
That's an interesting balance. It sounds like it broadens the book's appeal then beyond just diehard romance fans.
Absolutely. Because the romance isn't the only thing happening, it draws in readers who love complex family stories, psychological depth, stories about resilience, and finding yourself again. The romantic elements enhance the journey, but the core is that mother-daughter dynamic and the path through grief.
And knowing that romance is there, leading towards presumably some kind of positive resolution that helps readers invest in the tougher parts.
I think it does. Many reviews mention appreciating that the book does deliver a satisfying, earned happy ending after putting the characters and the reader through the emotional wringer.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Quality of writing, structure, emotional depth, it all sounds great. But let's talk hard numbers. The proof is often in the pudding, right? How has Regretting You actually performed in the market? Let's get into the readability and those crucial metrics.
Right, the validation from readers themselves. First, just the reading experience. People consistently describe it as a page-turner. The language is accessible, modern, easy to fall into.
And that dual perspective we talked about probably helps the pacing too.
Definitely. Switching between Morgan and Clara keeps things moving, creates that rhythm. And Hoover is apparently a master of the chapter-ending cliffhanger. Makes it really hard to stop reading.
Like just one more chapter.
Exactly that feeling. And it's a pretty standard length, published December 10, 2019 by Montlake, 365 pages. Manageable, but substantial enough for the story she's telling.
Okay, so it's built to be immersive. Now, the big one. Commercial success. How did it do on the bestseller lists?
Okay, prepare yourself. It was pretty staggering. According to the data we have, Regretting You achieved a bestsellers rank of #18 in books overall.
Wait, number 18 overall, not just in a specific category.
Overall. Across all books on Amazon. Fiction, nonfiction, everything.
Wow, that is absolutely massive. To be in the top 20 overall years after release, that indicates insane staying power and reach.
It's phenomenal. It means it's not just hitting a niche audience. It's crossed over into the mainstream in a huge way. Millions of readers. It completely validates the idea that its themes and storytelling have incredibly broad appeal.
That overall rank alone tells a huge story. What about the specific categories? Where does it dominate there?
Drilling down, it hits exactly where you'd expect given our discussion, but the rankings are top tier. It's number 1 in women's domestic life fiction.
Okay, it's home turf. Makes sense.
Number 2 in contemporary women fiction. So still right near the top in the broader women's fiction space.
It's so huge.
And importantly for the genre discussion, it's number 3 in contemporary romance.
So number 3 in romance, even though we've established it's heavily focused on family drama too, that shows it really does satisfy both audiences.
Exactly. It successfully bridges that gap, performing exceptionally well in both the domestic drama and the contemporary romance categories. That's a tricky balance to strike, and the numbers prove she nailed it.
The numbers are undeniable. But rankings are one thing. What about individual reader satisfaction? The reviews.
Also incredibly strong. The book holds a 4.5 out of 5-star average rating.
4.5 is excellent. And from how many reviews?
Get this, from 218,309 reviews.
Whoa, over 200,000 people took the time to rate it, and it averages 4.5 stars. That's an enormous volume of positive feedback. That's statistically significant satisfaction.
It really is. It tells you this isn't just a fluke or a small group of superfans. The book consistently delivers a positive experience for a massive number of readers.
So what are people highlighting in those positive reviews? What specific things do they love?
A few key themes pop up again and again. People rave about the character development, how real Morgan and Clara feel, how authentically they navigate their grief and confusion. That echoes our point about the earned emotion.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
They also love the plot twists, confirming that Hoover delivers on that front. And crucially, many reviews specifically mention appreciating that there is a happy ending. That reassurance seems important for readers going through the emotional intensity.
Knowing there's light at the end of the tunnel, that's key for this kind of story. Was there any other standout praise?
There's one comment that really caught my eye. A reviewer said the writing style transcends time.
Transcends time. Wow, that's high praise for contemporary fiction.
Isn't it? It suggests the themes, the mother-daughter conflict, loss, love, secrets, are handled with a kind of universal depth that makes the story feel lasting, not just trendy. It speaks to real literary quality within the genre.
That's impressive. Now, to be balanced, were there any common critiques? Even highly rated books usually have some nuance in the feedback.
Yes, there was one point that came up occasionally regarding pacing. While most people found it a fast, gripping read, a smaller number of reviewers felt it gets slow in certain sections.
Okay. Slow patches. Why do you think that might be?
Well, in character-driven stories like this, especially ones dealing with grief, sometimes you need those quieter moments for the characters to actually process things internally. It's not nonstop action. Those slower parts might be where Hoover is doing the deep emotional work with Morgan and Clara.
Right. Necessary for the character arcs to feel believable, even if it momentarily slows the plot for readers who prefer constant external conflict.
Exactly. So for readers looking for that deep dive into character psychology, those moments are probably a strength. For others expecting pure plot momentum, they might notice the shift in pace. It's a matter of expectation, maybe.
Understood. So, bringing it all together, this exploration really shows Regretting You as this confluence of factors: a hugely trusted author, a smart narrative structure, deep emotional resonance, and just undeniable market proof.
Yeah, the picture is pretty clear. It's a powerful story. It engages your heart with the character's struggles, but also your mind. Thinking about the family dynamics, the communication breakdowns, it's intense, it's honest, and ultimately, based on those reviews, very rewarding.
It sounds like a book that really sticks with you after you finish it.
Definitely. The kind that, as the source notes, will not let you go quickly.
So, if you're someone who loves digging into complex family relationships, exploring deep emotional journeys, and appreciates a story where the happy ending feels truly earned after significant struggle, this sounds like an excellent choice.
Absolutely. We really encourage you, if you haven't already, to pick this one up and see for yourself why it connects with so many people.
And to make that easy for you, the link to purchase Regretting You by Colleen Hoover is right there in the video description. Definitely check it out.
Add it to your list. You won't regret it. Pun may be intended.
Huh. And as you dive into Morgan and Clara's story, here's something to think about. A final thought. Imagine your own biggest secret or a major life event you went through. How different would the story of that event look if told entirely from the perspective of someone much older or much younger than you?
Ooh, that's a great question. That generational filter changes everything, doesn't it? That's really the heart of this book's power, I think.
It really is. Well, that's all the time we have for today's exploration.
Thank you so much for tuning in and joining our discussion here on What's Hot in the Bookstore.
We hope we've given you a good sense of what makes Regretting You such a phenomenon. Please join us next time for another look at what's buzzing in the book world. Goodbye for now.
Happy reading, everyone.